Thanks for having me first. A quick introduction about myself. My name is Reda. I am originally from Morocco. I've been living in France for over 3 years now. And as you said, I'm a robotic process automation engineer. I'm a software engineer. I started my career as a data scientist for a global company called Accenture. And then I have changed my career into robotic process automation, which is what we're going to talk about today. So other facts about me: I have been selected as most valuable professionals amongst UiPath MVPs this year and last year, which is a recognition for people that actually do some interventions to help other people know about the industry and know about robotic process automation. So enough about myself. Let's go back to the topic of automation itself and talk about robotic process automation. Whenever we say robotic and automation in the same sentence, we tend to think about physical robots, which is not the case, because robotic process automation is actually a computer software. It's much like coding, but it's software that help us create bots. I will try to share the screen just so that because I have prepared a little presentation. Share my screen.
Barakallahu feek.
Tell me if you can see it so we can proceed.
Yes.
So as I said, robotic process automation is a computer software. It helps us create automations to basically do some tasks that are mundane. So for example, if you have an HR department that will take the CVs, read them, and then select the candidates that they will choose for the interviews. This is something that I've actually automated before. And companies call us to basically say, we have a folder full of CVs. Can you just create a robot that will go through all the CVs, read the keywords, and then select the best fitting profiles for a job? And then we'll send an interview slot to the HR manager in order to do the interview. So this is one of the examples. This is one of the tens of thousands of examples of things that we can automate. And basically this is robotic process automation. We're gonna see an example, a live example, so you can see what is it about. But in the meantime, I want to tell you that this is an interactive session. So if you feel like you want to ask about anything, I only have 20 minutes, so it's not a lot. So whenever you have a question, just raise your hand. It's an interactive session. Feel free to ask me wherever you want. This is robotic process automation. Now, why should you care about this technology? It is actually one of the most thriving technologies. It's fairly new, so the industry is just getting shaped to what it's going to be in the future. So it is actually easier now to find internships, to find jobs, to do a career change if you are in RP, if you are in robotic process automation. So basically, if you're a student and looking for an internship, this is one of the options that you should consider, because if you are working in the IT space or you are basically trying to work in the IT space, it is one of the options. If you ever feel like web automation, web development, or desktop developments, or data science is basically, the market is flooded with a lot of profiles in that matter. You can just basically change that and try to find a career in RPA. So I was saying why you should care about that. It's actually kind of connected to my story. Why did I choose to go through that path? Well, first, I am so passionate about this space. And other than that, I have seen that a lot of companies actually come to you to find the RPA developers that can work for them. So it's kind of a shift. Instead of you going to companies come up to you because there are not a lot of profiles on the market, and it's actually very, very interesting to see how things are working out in this space. So I have prepared a little example of just an RPA process that we can work on. I will share my screen. Okay, so this is a case where I will open up, the robots will open up the, okay, I'm just gonna set this here. We'll open up the Instagram page of the forum. and scrape the first the first description that we have in this post and send it to me by mail. So this is an example, just a simple example. It's just a robot that I created in 5 minutes in order for you just to understand the scope of what we can create using RPA. So I'm gonna close up this and I'm gonna launch the robot. And hopefully it's gonna work much like I have created it, because there's always a demo effect when you actually show in the robot speed. So now the robot has just opened up Instagram. This is not me working on the PC. This is the robot working. It will click on the first. Hopefully, yeah, it clicked on the first post. It will scrape the data and it will just send me the data by mail. So I'm just gonna go to my Gmail now and I will show you what the robot has just sent me. So here it actually sent me 2 mails, but here you can see that the robot have just sent me right now. It's 8:21. The robot have just sent me right now a mail, and it's actually the description. Oh, sorry, this is not it. Yeah, it's actually the Meet Rauda partnership and community. So it's basically the description that we have in Instagram. So this is a robot that I've just created in basically in 5 minutes. And it's so easy to create. And sorry, I'll just open up the page of FEMYSO so we can see the example. And it's so easy to create. Now, as I said, this is a thriving industry, and it's really interesting to have an option like this right now. And just try to keep it in mind, and hopefully it's just going to help you. If you're stuck, you can just find a job on the things that you want to do. Or if you have a passion towards creating robots, this is something that can really help you, and it's a viable option that you can have. So this description have been sent to me by mail, and it's the robot that does it. So it's just basically a simple example that I've just created before this session in order for you to see our robot in action. So yeah, I think this is my presentation. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead.
Thank you, Reda, for this presentation. You give us a lot of insight. I'd like to start with a question. I'd like to ask you, how did you get into this topic? And if someone, what kind of advice would you give to someone who doesn't have an engineering background to get into your field?
Well, this is actually a really good question, because I didn't get into this topic because I knew it when I was in school. It was actually my manager that told me that there's this new field, so you can just go ahead and see this field and see if it's for you. So this is when I decided to change my career from data science to this. Now, to the second part of the question, which is the most interesting, if you don't have an engineering background, this is the thing about RPA. This is the thing about robotic process automation. You don't need a background in coding to do it, because it's a drag and drop platform, and there are actually multiple versions that you can use. So there is a version for developers, some people that have already coded before, like myself, and there are another version for people that have never touched code before, and it's so easy to implement. You just need to learn it. There's you can just contact me. I will give you all the resources in order for you to learn. It's free, and there are great resources out there. There are a lot of YouTube videos. There's even an official academy. It's called the Academy it's a website basically with a lot of courses on it. So yeah, if you have never done coding before, it's actually so easy to get into it. It's not that hard. You think it is, but it's really not that hard.
There's a question in the chat. For someone who has no idea of it, do you think it's easy to learn it, and how?
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen again so you can just see the resources that I've used myself in order to learn. So this is, for example, a website where you have a lot of courses. Now, the things that I would advise is that I've been talking about RPA, but I kind of didn't introduce UiPath. So UiPath, basically, it's the leader of RPA. It's a tool, it's a software, much like any other software where we can create robots. So this software, for example, it's a drag and drop software. We can just drag activities, actions, and put them here. So for example, here we have an action of opening a browser. We are clicking on the first page. We are clicking on the first post. We are getting the text. So we are reading the text, and then we are sending a mail. So it just a very, and then we are closing the Chrome page. So it's a very simple, logical process that I have created, and it's so easy to implement. Now, going back to the question, how can I learn it? So there is this academy, the UiPath Academy. You just go on this UiPath Academy, and then you just go to courses. After that, so loading. After that, it's actually better to go to learning by role, because courses, you have like 70 or 80 courses, you're not gonna know where to start. And then you're gonna go to RPA Starter, and it's basically the first building block of RPA. So it's gonna give you a general introduction about RPA and automation. What is RPA and automation? Basically what I've just done. And then you can create your first robot using StudioX. Now, StudioX is actually the version of Studio. This is called Studio. It's the version of Studio of people that have never done coding before. And it's actually so easy. It's even easier than this. It's much more user-friendly, interactive, and you can just create in building blocks. It's basically like playing a game. So yeah, well, as I said, I'm a software engineer. So I'm not the best example actually of this. I understand. I actually have a coding background. I have coded before in my life. I've done 3 years of coding. This is why it was so easy to actually pick up this and work on it. But if you have never done coding before, it's actually very easy. Do not get discouraged by not having the experience of coding before, but it's actually easier to start with this than to start with coding. So thanks Omar for sending the academy website. But basically, as I said, it's actually very easy to start with it, and we can actually create a process right now doing whatever we want. It's so easy, and it can be really helpful for you. So if you have like a process that you do every time, if you go, for example, to your university, for example, university website, and get some courses every time, and you are doing it weekly or monthly, you can just create a process, a robot that will do it for you every time, and you can just you can just automate the task. It's actually very easy. You can just pick it up, basically like playing a game. Any more questions? You can actually talk to me. You can just unmute yourself and talk. There is no wrong questions. There is no right. There's no wrong or rights right now. Just try to.
For you, yes, this is Mazen. I have a question for you. What is your idea about the fact it's a legend, but sometimes happen that robot will take control over human? Like
yeah, this is actually a question that we get a lot. So yeah, this is it's actually a really complex project, a complex topic. We can talk about this for hours, basically. But the short answer is that we are automating tasks. There is AI, so there is artificial intelligence. It's embedded inside the RPA. So we can create robots that can actually kind of mimic human actions to a really, really accurate degree, and it's scary. But at the end of the day, we are creating robots that automating tasks. So in a company, you find someone that is doing a lot of tasks, and there are sometimes tasks that need IQ. They're in need of a lot of intelligence. We don't actually think about it, but they're in need of a lot of intelligence. We just take it for granted because they are humans. But robots can actually just automate tasks, one task at a time. You cannot just erase a human from the loop just because we automated one task. Unless this human is doing only one task, then if they're doing just data entry or something that doesn't need any type of IQ, they should know that their job is in jeopardy and it's going to be automated 5 years from now. So this is why you should be you should not be on the receiving end of doing something that is mundane. You should actually create value for the company. And to get back to the question from a practical standpoint, today in companies, instead of the employees doing the job, once we automate their task, they are just reading reports. We don't get rid of people just because there's a robot that do their job. They are there to read reports, to interpret what the robot has done, and to intervene if the robot haven't basically have done an error or anything. So we don't get rid of people. We just kind of reorientation of their career and of their role inside the company. So we don't. So the short answer, we don't take jobs out of people. We just automate tasks. Any more questions?
In your company, it's very nice to see a company that give out all this information, and so all the information to learn RPA. But can I ask you something? How many people do you know your company that came from a completely different background, and now they're working with the software that you spoke about?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's also a good question. So I have a friend who is really good, a friend, also a colleague that works with me, and he came from a biology. He did biology in university. This has nothing to do with coding, has nothing to do with IT. And he came from biology. He started doing RPA, and he's actually very good today using RPA tools. And I know other people that came from physics and math, so they have never done coding, and they started using RPA. I know people that are coming from really different backgrounds, like architecture, design, and they came in. Now they are using they are doing coding. They are doing it for basically because it pays better. There's the pay in IT in general, information technology and coding. It's better than a lot of other industries. So there are different reasons. There are people that like the industry, that like automating, and there are people that are doing it because it pays better and the career evolution is so much more interesting. So yeah, I've seen people from every background that you can think of. I actually have a question for you guys. Are you guys all students or?
I wish. I'm working right now. Yes.
Oh, you're working. So yeah, I was talking as if you're all students. I didn't think. So it goes both ways. If you're students and you want to look for an internship or a first job, RPA can really come in handy. People have actually used it. And if you're looking for a career change, it's also going to come in handy. So for both ways, it's a two-way street.
And how long would it take for someone to start from zero to learn to use RPA?
It depends on the number of hours that you are willing to put every day. But if you're like studying for 3 hours a day or something like that, it's going to take you to at least feel comfortable using the tool. It's going to take you like a month or 3 weeks. It's not that much to just feel comfortable using the tool and just know how much the tool can go and what is the possibilities of robots that you can create. So 3 weeks, a month, you will be comfortable. You will know exactly what you have to do in the next chapter in order to actually be a master and to be an advanced user.
Sorry to jump in, but with this 3 weeks, is that enough to like get a job and like actually work in that field?
It depends on how good of a liar you are. If you basically just try to have like an RPA developer tag on your LinkedIn and you are applying for jobs, a lot of companies don't actually care. You just need to know the jargon, and you say that you work on the first project, and you say that you have worked on it for 2, 3, or 4 months if you're looking for an internship, or a year if you're looking for a job, and not even a year, for 6 months, it's okay. As long as you know how to create a process and you know the jargon, you will be good to go. As like an entry-level developer, you will be good to go. 3 weeks or a month, I feel like it's a good amount of time.
So like when you're applying for jobs like this, is it like more important, like for example, let's say you have a very great projects, but like you studied yourself, or I don't know, you don't have like a university degree and all that, will they still like, will you have the same advantage as the ones who did the university and all that? Let's say like your projects are really good, but you just like you worked yourself, you don't have a proper education on it, but you worked yourself and you have great projects.
Well, yeah. So this is kind of a, I'm not going to say a complex question,
Okay,
but
okay, it's fine.
it's actually not something that I've been through, because in order for me to get into the company I got in, I have presented myself to be an engineer at first. So they asked for my degree. They asked for the degree to see it in order for me to work. But this is different. If you just want to work on a company and you want to start out, and you tell them that you have, for example, that you are changing the path of your career, you just need to try. You basically just need to try. You have like your first project in place, and you say that I have a degree in that, but I have studied enough in order for me to know about the tool and to work on it, or to have a passion for it, and to be ready to learn more. So basically just try start with the academy. If you're interested, start with the academy, go to the academy, go to learn by role. There is the starter, just know the starter, and there's the foundation. Start with the starter, then go to the foundation, and then you'll have a general understanding. If you can do this in 3 weeks or a month, you will have a general understanding of how to create a process, and then you can put that on your LinkedIn, and you will be actually surprised of the interaction that you will get from people once you do that. Because I was a junior, I had like 2 months experience of a real job, and I started getting, but that was back in 2018. But generally, I think it's still the same case right now. When I had only two months experience at our company, I started getting offers, like a lot of offers. And I was back in Morocco. I was living in Morocco, and I got offers like from a lot of companies in here, like almost 3 offers a week. It was overwhelming, but it just gives you an idea on how the demand and the offer is going on in the market. And there are a lot of actually people pursuing RPA developers, and there are not a lot of RPA developers in the market. So this is why there is an imbalance. It's not because it's the best, industry. But it's because there's not a lot of people that are willing to go from their career to RPA.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you again, Reda, for joining us.
We have a question, I think. We have received a question.
No, yeah, there's a question. Do you think that all can use it in the economic field?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the financial industry is the industry that have embraced RPA the first. We work with banks before working with anybody else. Basically, like, we can't work we can't work 3 months without working on a financial process, because this is where you have the most processes that can be automated. For example, at the moment, I am working on a process that basically take supplier facture, supplier financial statements or bank statements, and compare it to what we have in the financial system that we have inside the company. So we go to the bank, we go to the financial system that we have inside the company and the database, and we try to compare the both. And if there are like any irregularities, we just raise them to the financial team. The economical or the finance departments or industry, it's the industry that needs the most automation, and it's basically the industry that we started with and we are always interacting with. So to answer your question, yes, very much. Economic field is the most important one. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you again, Reda.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you guys, and yeah, I think I'm gonna leave in the next minutes, but thank you guys, and have a good one.